Sister, I can't resist her. Red beans and rice didn't miss her. Hello and welcome to the Frugal Kitchen. Today I am going to be making red beans and rice. This is an authentic Cajun recipe because I am an authentic Cajun from New Iberia, Louisiana. The only claim to fame New Iberia has is that it's where Tabasco sauce is made. So there's that. This recipe, you're going to need a pound or so of smoked sausage. I use beef smoked sausage. For this particular recipe today, I actually got some free turkey andouille sausage from someone on Facebook. So I'll be using that instead. Hopefully it's not like weird. I also use half a white onion. When I make Cajun food, the recipe always calls for a whole white onion, but that's kind of overkill. So I just kind of hack off half an onion, use it, save the rest of the onion in the fridge in a Tupperware container. And it's usually good for, I'm gonna say like a month, because this onion I'm gonna use is about a month old and it's still good. So the refrigerator is a miraculous invention. You're also gonna need 1 green bell pepper, whatever color you like. If you hate green, do red, it's fine. A pound of dried kidney beans. That's a 16-ounce bag is usually how it's labeled. Long grain white rice, or whatever bland rice you prefer, but I use long grain white rice. Oil and garlic. I use garlic cloves because it's actually kind of fun to chop them up and smash them. I'll show you how that works. So 2 garlic cloves, or if you've minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. I also use a bay leaf for this recipe, a whole bay leaf. That's just my family's tradition. You don't have to use it. I don't think it makes that much difference, but I like it doing it, so I do it. So the first thing you're actually gonna wanna do is the night before you decide you need to cook this is soak the beans. The beans are gonna be dry in a plastic bag or bulk if you have a bulk store near you. You're gonna wanna soak them at least 8 hours as just room temperature soaking. So I do this overnight and then the next day I start cooking. I also give myself like 4 hours to make this because it has to boil a long time. You're going to need the water in the pot to reduce quite a bit to make the, I don't know if it's technically called a roux, but the thickening properties of the red beans and rice base. So these have been soaking for a day, and the trick I've heard, maybe it's just an old wives' tale, to reducing the flatulence of eating beans is to actually dump the water that you soak them in and put fresh water in the pot for when you cook it. Okay, so the beans are nice and puffed up. Whenever you soak them, just make sure that they're covered. I do like maybe this much extra water just to make sure that when they puff up it doesn't rise past the point of the water. So the next thing you're going to do is add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. We have canola oil in this house, which I think is this. I think this also helps the roux thicken. As a Cajun person living in Chicago, I try not to eat any Cajun food outside of my house. Most chefs here learned how to cook Cajun food like for 2 weeks in culinary school. They did not learn how to cook it from their mama. Of course, neither did I.
I was going to say, wait a second.
Like other people who aren't me did, like real Cajuns did. I kind of taught myself how to cook Cajun food when I was in grad school. I made a lot of mistakes. I ruined this red beans and rice once before I went to grad school because I don't know what I did wrong, but it didn't reduce it was all watery. It wasn't that thick roux stuff you're gonna see. It was a mistake. So this is basically my recipe that I've formed over the years, copying other people's recipes and saying, well, this is wrong. I don't know who wrote this. This is not the way to do it. And coming up with something that works for the way I cook and the way that I remember eating it growing up in Louisiana. So I'm gonna put the pot on and I'm gonna cover the lid. I also vent my lid because boiling happens and water goes over the pot. If you've cooked enough and you've boiled things, you're gonna know that the water's gonna go whoosh and it's gonna fall over and get on the fire. So I kind of vent it. So we're gonna be chopping the onion now. And one of my goals of this channel is to show you that food lasts longer than you think it does. You can use your senses to tell if the food is still good, assuming you have the sense of sight, smell, taste, etc. This one doesn't look perfect anymore, so I'm just going to chop off that part. I don't like them being too large. You don't really want to notice them when you're eating it. And by the way, I never cry when I cut onions. And I don't know if it's genetic or if it's because my knife is very sharp. When I was selling Cutco knives back in college, they said it was because the knife was too sharp. And it's only when you use a dull knife that you cry. Okay, here's the bell pepper. I don't think I cut bell peppers right. I always like, what is this called? Going around the circumference of the, what is this seed part called that sticks out? I like make an octagon out of it. I pull it out.
The core.
The core. There we
and
go.
the ribs.
The ribs. Yes, you want to take the ribs out and take the seeds out. Actually, I should have them. If you have a compost bin or want to start a compost bin, worms love this. And then we're going to basically do the same cutting shape for the bell peppers. They're not going to be rings like they are on your burgers. They're going to be all diced up. I really love making red beans and rice because it lasts forever and it's extremely cheap. I don't know. I think the sausage, you can always opt to not do sausage. The sausage is like $3 maybe. The beans, I think they were like $1.50 when I just bought them. They were probably $2. Rice is so cheap it's hardly worth mentioning. And then the veggies are about, bell pepper's usually $1. Onions maybe 89 cents usually. So it's very cheap. It lasts forever. It freezes very well too. You want to store it separately from the rice. Okay, so now the fun part of, if you're using whole cloves of garlic, how to actually use them. I was using minced garlic for a long time, and then my husband showed me how to do this. So you're going to just put it on your cutting board. You want a knife that's wide, like this chef's knife, vegetable knife. I don't know the official name for it anymore. Flat side down, smash it, and then maybe I didn't smash it well enough. There we go. Smash it like it owes you money. And then you can peel the papery bit off pretty easily. Now you're gonna let it boil for a bit, vented. I usually do an hour and then I'll kind of like check on it and see what it looks like. So I will let it go for, I'll let it go for about an hour and then come back and show you where we are going to go from there. I think this is, let me see. Yeah, this is good. So I can see that it's been an hour, I can see that some of the beans have split open, which means that they're soft enough to smush. And then the color of the water has changed, so that's good. So we're gonna take out, need my cutting. We're gonna take out 4 tablespoons of beans, which is like impossible to measure. So I kind of just do my spoonful. I'm gonna bring it over. And then we have to mash them down with the spoon. So I don't really know what this does, except that it helps to thicken the roux. I don't know the science behind it. Now we're going to add 2 bay leaves. I do whole bay leaves because I pull these out after it's cooked and compost them. I've made this recipe once before when I ran out of bay leaves and it did not affect the taste. But it's one of those things that I just keep buying because of tradition. It's got a nice smell. So we're going to slice the sausage and then continue cooking with the heat a little bit lower and the pot uncovered. I wish I'd measured the water just so I knew how much it had evaporated, but I never measure it. 8 cups is probably fine. That's how much I use when I make gumbo. I'm gonna lower it just to medium because I think I still want it kind of high so that more will evaporate. I'm gonna check it every half hour or so, and when it gets reduced enough, then I will add spices and start cooking the rice. Started cooking at 3 o'clock. It's 5:15. It doesn't look that different, but I can see that the water has decreased. It's still kind of watery. So I reduced the heat a bit, not too much. I'm gonna let it try to reduce the water in this concoction a little bit more. But I'm gonna add some spice now. I don't measure this because that's how I roll. So some salt, some pepper, and then this, which you can't find very easily in not Louisiana states, but it's basically salt, red pepper, black pepper, and garlic. It's a very, very tasty dry Cajun seasoning. This is actually from New Iberia. And this is available pretty much everywhere in the country. I think it's basically done. It's a little waterier than I thought it was going to be, but I remembered that it does solidify more and thicken up when it's in the refrigerator. I have a rice cooker, 10 cups, it's because I make a lot of rice. If you don't make a lot of rice, you can make this in a saucepan on the stove. But every time I tried, I burned the rice, or I didn't put enough water in, and it evaporated too quickly, and the rice was all hard and crunchy and terrible. Which is why I use a rice cooker. I added the red beans and sausage to the rice. I actually put like twice as much on here as I'm gonna eat. You can see the coloration of the roux or whatever it's called on the rice, and this does thicken up more after it's been in the fridge, or cooled actually. If you didn't want to eat it fresh, you could let it cool for like an hour. It took 3 hours to make it today. Needs more spice. Pretty damn good. And it's a meal that will last forever because it's a giant pot you make of it. I swear to God, it lasts us 2 weeks. So, enjoy.